Assalamu alaikum again, and thank you very much for joining us. This is the World Vision Organization webinar series. This series has a title of The Shifting World of Free Zones. And the first in its series will have the title of the importance of free zones and special economic zones in the formation of the new regional value chains. And we will start immediately, as mentioned in the following slide. We'll start immediately with our first part with the welcoming words of Dr. Mohammed Zar'ouni, Chairman of the World Vision Organization.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the latest of our webinar series, The Shifting World of Zones. I am Dr. Mohammed Zar'ouni, Chairman of the World Free Zones Organization, and it is my pleasure that I extend my warmest greeting to all of you joining us today from around the world. As we gather here, we embark on a journey of exploration and insight into the dynamic landscape of free zones and especially economic zones. Our objective with this webinar series is clear: to navigate through the complexities and opportunities presented by the ever-evolving world of zones. Through thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and practical case studies, we aim to equip you with the knowledge and tools necessary to thrive in this rapidly changing environment. Throughout this webinar series, we will have the opportunity to hear from some of the foremost experts in the free zone industry, who will share their knowledge, experiences, and perspectives on a range of significant topics, from regulatory frameworks to technological advancements, from sustainable practices to global trade dynamics. Our webinars will cover a diverse array of themes aimed at enriching our understanding and stimulating dialogue within the free zone community. This webinar series holds particular significance as this year we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the World FZO. Over the past decade, our organization has been at the forefront of advocating for the interests of free zones worldwide, fostering collaboration and driving innovation. As we reflect on our achievements, we also look forward to the future with renewed determination and vision. In addition to these webinars, I would like to take this opportunity to remind our esteemed members of the various benefits that come with being part of the World FZO family, from live events that facilitate networking and knowledge sharing to our upcoming flagship event, the World FZO World Congress 2024, set to take place from 23rd to 25th of September in Dubai. There are countless opportunities for growth and collaboration. Furthermore, our Zones Academy offers a wealth of educational resources and training programs to enhance your skills and expertise. Our policy dialogue initiative fosters discussions on key challenges facing zones. The Zone Library serves as a repository of best practices and insights into socioeconomic trends, while our advisory and advocacy services provide personalized support and representation to address your specific needs and challenges. Before I conclude, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all our partners, sponsors, and supporters who have made this webinar series possible. Your unwavering commitment to the advancement of free zones is truly commendable, and we look forward to continuing our collaboration in the day ahead. In conclusion, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for your continued support and dedication to the World FZO. Together, we have achieved remarkable milestones, and I am confident that with your unwavering commitment, we will continue to shape the future of zones for the betterment of all. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive and enlightening webinar.
So this year is a very important year of our organization, as mentioned by our chairman in his opening remarks. 19th of May 2014, 14 founding members and a small office of 2 employees supposed the starting of this organization. Today, we are proud to say that we have more than 1,500 members from more than 100 and I think exactly 142 countries, with 12 regional offices on the top of the headquarters and 45 national contact points. So really, it was a journey of 10 years full of challenges, full of exciting elements, but also supposing a great achievement and exponential growth, which make us all feeling proud of what we have achieved as a community, as a stakeholder of this organization. Okay, as also mentioned, the title of this webinar series is The Shifting Worlds of Zones. It's obvious a lot is happening in the world economy, in the regional economy, in the local economy, a lot of technological disruption, interruption, innovation, a lot of, let's say, news in the cross-border, a lot of elements in the global value chain, a lot of somehow disruption, and from time to time and another time some good news when it comes to trade and when it comes to the road and the roads that the trade is following. So it's really a shifting world of zones. And the title is also chosen not only to reflect the reality of zones, but also to invite you all, as mentioned by Dr. Mohammed, to our annual event. The annual event is no more call it Annual International Conference and Exhibition. Today we start with more adequate name. It is the World Vision Organization 10th World Congress. It will take place in Dubai from the 23rd to the 25th of September. And as the title reflects, we will speak about that shifting global economy and its impact on zones, with a specific focus on 5 aspects of this shifting related to logistics, energy, manufacturing, finance, and digital. Seen further through, and the most important part of this webinar, we will listen to Dr. Martin Ibarra, who will explain to us how zones, economic zones, special economic zones, free zones, foreign trade zones, can play a great role in the global and the regional value chain. Martin Ibarra doesn't need any introduction. He is a well-known expert in free zones. I think he started the free zone regime in countries like China, like Tanzania, like Colombia. He has more years of experience than my age, but I think more than 30 years of experience, Martin, you are accumulating in this sector. We will go and listen to you directly. Martin, you have 30 to 35 minutes. We would like to allow our colleagues to share with you some questions. And I encourage all of you participants to this webinars to share with you your Q&A within that symbol of question and answer. Martin Ibarra, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you so much, Samir and Mohammed, for the invitation, for joining you to speak about the future of the free zone. We are in a very difficult moment in international trade in these days. I don't know if I can put the screen in my presentation, please. I will begin saying that in these years, we have a lot of movement for different factors. If you see the history of the international trade, next one, please, begin maybe with the first free zone. 1066 years before Christ was created the first free zone in the world, in Delos Island, because the Greeks is fighting with the Phoenicians and want to bring the trade of the slaves, of the wine, of the olive oil, and create in Delos Island the first free zone. Then, in 1035, the Silk Road was closed, and this was a disruption in the international trade. Days in 1492, Christopher Columbus discovered America and changed the international trade because the gold and the other products go to Europe. Then in England, they apply the iron and the steam to the ships, to the navigation, and reduce 10 times the cost of the freight. And some goods that was only trade in the local markets go to the international trade. In 1947 was created the GATT after the World War II, and they begin the international regulation for the international trade. Then, with the creation of the WTO, was created the concept of the global change, the defense made in the world. And in 1983 was created the first special economic zone in China. And that day, China began to be a very competitive country. I want to underline the importance of the special economic zone, the competitivity of China. With this tool, with the special economic zone, China became the first country in industrialization and the first exporter in the world. And in the beginning of this century, we have the SARS, the pandemic, the first big pandemic that have a lot of aspects in China. Next, please. Well, in this moment, we have many factors, 7 factors at the same time that are impacting the international trade. The trade war first, the trade war between the United States and China, the COVID-19 that stopped the global change, the increment of the cross-border e-commerce, the nearshoring act of President Biden, the sustainability of and the reduction of the carbon in the world, the war between Russia and Ukraine, and then the conflict in the Red Sea. Now, in the next slide, we are going to see how these factors make that, for example, Latin America became the first partner of the United States. Now China is not the first partner of the United States. You can see in this graphic how Latin American begin to be the #1 exporter to the United States. In the next slide, we see the impact of COVID-19 in the cost of the freight in the world. That was a big impact for the global change too. In the next, you can see how the COVID-19 impact in the volume and the value of the international trade have a big impact, not only in goods, but even in service. For example, the stop was complete stop their place for many months, and we have a crisis of the containers because a lot of goods, like big goods, like TVs, like sofas, and like refrigerators, was changing during the pandemic. In the next slide, we can see how the e-commerce have explosion because of the pandemics. Now it is 25% of the international trade. In 5 years, going to be the 35% in the international trade. The fourth factor will be the change of the global change for the regional value change. This is a very important thing because in the pandemic, the companies want to have near providers and they want to place near the consumer to reduce the dependence of very far suppliers. And number 5 is the sustainability of the global trade. Reducing the footprint can be an opportunity to take the region's export, especially more competitive. And now we have a new concept, the power shoring. The power shoring is the relocation of the future industry beside the renewable energy. The traditional energy can go from one continent to another country. The renewable energy do not travel. For that reason, the industry in the future will be placed in the countries that have green energy. The number 6 factor is the war between Russia and Ukraine. You can see here in this graphic what are the products that was affected with fertilizer, corn, nickel, and in the right, you can see the percentage of the cost that was increasing for the war. Some countries have problem with this product. The 7th factor is the crisis in the Red Sea. You can see in this graphic how some ships have to add 7,000 kilometers to go to South Africa to reach Europe, then increase 3 times the cost of the container between China and Europe in this case. Okay, in the next slide, we can see the composition of the new composition of international trade. It is 16% mineral and fuels, 14% electric machinery, 10% nuclear reactors, 7% vehicles, and so on. In the next slide, we can see the impact of the COVID in the services. And now the services are recovering a lot, especially the IT services, for example, the data centers. Now this conference, the platform for Zoom of this conference, they need a lot of data centers behind the webinar. It's explosion of data, especially with the artificial intelligence. In the next slide, we can see how the transport is changing too. You can see here at the right, the composition of the sea transport, the air transport, the road transport, and the e-commerce transport. How is the basket of the different way of transportations. Okay, what are the main business of the next decade in the world, and what are the role of the free trade zone and the special economic zone in the reduction of cost of this new business? This is a very important question because all of the new business in the world have very high costs in this moment. And the big challenge is the reduction of the cost of these new goods and services and how the free zone can help in this. Okay. First, the decarbonization of the world. Green free zone, hydrozone. Do you know hydrogen is one of the elements going to change the way of production in the world and is helping the decarbonization of the world. For that reason, the electrolyzers, there are the machinery who produce the hydrogen, the production is going to go 100 times more. For example, you can see here in the future, the example of the Pacific Free Zone in Colombia, that has a solar panel farm that reduce a lot the carbonization of the world and produce the 40% of the energy of the sun. But of course, the challenge for the hydrogen, green hydrogen and blue hydrogen is to reduce the cost. And of course, the hydrozone, we can see it in the next slide, is going to help a lot to reduce the cost of the production of not only of hydrogen, but all the industry related with the hydrogen. For example, fertilizer, iron, cement, and more. The hydrogen will be the fuel of the big ships, of the big trucks, of the big trains in the future. Here you can see the Ceará Free Zone in Brazil. It's the hydro zone that won the prize of the #1 hydro zone in the world for FID. The second business will be electric vehicles. Of course, the challenge of the electric vehicle is to reduce the cost. And you can see how the big factory like Tesla and BYD is making the electric vehicles in free zones, because the free zone gives the big competitive. For example, in Texas, Tesla have a very big factory in a free zone. It's one of the biggest free zones in the United States. In the next slide, you can see how the 14 reduced was the more successful car in the history of the vehicles. It's more than 20 millions of Ford was produced between 2004 and 2027. During that time, more than 20 years, the first 4T was 3 times more expensive than the last one. During this time, the 4T reduced dramatically the cost for $800 to $360 of that time. The same challenge have Tesla, the same challenge have BYD, the same challenge have the batteries and the electric vehicles, who is going to be the norm in the future. Okay, the third business is data centers, because the artificial intelligence and the clouds, the world needs a lot of data centers. The data center now is the 10% of the foreign direct investment, and consume maybe the 10% too of the world energy. The most of the data centers in the world are in the free zone. There are in multi-purpose free zone. For example, here you have a picture of a Bogotá free zone, Zeta, one of the biggest data centers in Colombia. That is, the Bogotá free zone have 5 data centers in a multi-purpose free zone, but at the same time, you have a new figure in the world. It's the cloud free zone. That means free zone designed especially to receive only data centers. And that will be one of the tendencies of the future. In the next, you can see the 4th business, agro free zone. The population of the world is growing a lot. In 2050, we are going to be more than 10 billion people around the world. For that reason, the production of food with good technology will be a key aspect. It's a lot of countries that are using the agro-free zone figure to make more competitive the agro industry. Not only the food, not only the plants, even the fertilizer, even the packaging, even the distribution, even the refrigeration of the food. The 5 business of the world will be the digital, the printing, de-printing. Here you have the digital zone. The digital zone will be the new free zone that allows the operation and application of the digital and 3D printing to produce an input that requires multiple sectors, bringing that smart solution and innovation. We have the opportunity to go with Dr. Mohamed and Samir to the D-Zone in Barcelona last November, with Hewlett-Packard have 20 D-printing machinery, making a lot of goods and exporting that goods to many, many countries. The 6th business will be the tourist free zone. The tourists were very impacted with the pandemic, and now it's recovering a lot, but a different kind of business, more green, more relaxing, less business in travel, more enjoy. Here you can see figure of tourist free zone. We are speaking with the World Tourist Organization to make a joint venture between World Resort Organization and World Tourist Organization to promote the concept of tourist free zone that will reduce dramatically the cost of set up green field project in tourism. The 7 business will be shared service centers in free zone for call center, for innovation, for investigation, for developing the human services. A country like India, like Philippines, like Colombia, like Uruguay has a lot of experience in this kind like Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Costa Rica has more than 1 million of square meters in service free zone. This is a new tendency, even in Dubai. In Dubai, you can see many different specialized free zone in services. The 8th business will be e-commerce free zone, e-zones. In China, for example, has today more than 200 e-zones. There are zones devoted for cross-border e-commerce. Here you can see the picture of the first e-zone in the Middle East, in Dubai, e-commerce, the Dubai Commerce City, opening the door for local products and foreign markets and vice versa. And the e-zone is a key aspect for the production of goods, for the redistribution of goods, for the transformation of container in parcel, in packaging, and for sent to the different countries. This is the right place to e-commerce. The 9 businesses logistics, smart logistics. The logistics all the day is more sophisticated. For the reason, the free zone are the perfect tool for the best logistics. There is a lot of free zone devoted for logistics like Panama, like Hong Kong, like Singapore, even in Colombia. Dubai, Jebel Ali free zone is one of those. Here you can see the picture with the automated logistics centers and for ports and airports. The biggest free zone in the world are free zone. The biggest port in the world are free zone. The biggest airport in the world are free zone. More than 1 million of tons and moving by air in this moment in the world is 35% of the international trade. For example, Hong Kong airport, the biggest in the world, or Dubai airport, the 5th in the world, there are free zone too. And the 10th tendency, the 10th business, is bringing prosperity to the world's poorest countries through the free zones. We are working very hard with Dr. Samir, with Dr. Mohamed, with UNCTAD, to how the free zone can help the poorest free zone in the world, the poorest countries in the world, the no-hope countries, that the free zone experience will be the laboratory of new business for the first time for helping the entrepreneur people and to help country to go for the first time into the globalization. Okay. Here you have how UNCTAD declared the free zone as the best tool to the recovery of the countries after the pandemic of COVID-19. Here you have James Shah, who was the leader of this initiative, and we have an agreement between the World Free Zone Organization and the UNCTAD to develop this wonderful strategy. Next one, please. Well, here you can see the commitment of the board of the World Free Zone Organization under the leadership of Dr. Mohamed El-Sarroni and Samir in develop all these 10 strategies that I just mentioned to you. Next, please. Well, the World Free Zone Organization is cooperating all the time with the international institutions. You have here the UNCTAD, that I already said, the World Trade Organization, the OECD, World Customs Organization, how the free zone can be the auxiliary of the customs of each country, the custom procedures, the more safe procedures, and the International Labor Organization, how the 80 million of people have the best labor condition in the free zone in the world. Next, please. Well, the World Free Zone Organization is cooperating too with the organization that gather the business of the future. For example, the International Automobile Federation for Electric Vehicles, the Food and Agricultural Organization for the production of foods, World Tourism Organization for Tourist Free Zone, International Energy Agency for Agrozone and Green Energy Production, Universal Postal Union for e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce, Airport Council International for airports who are free zone in this moment, and International Association of Port Harbors for all the ports that are free zone in this moment. We are working, one of our strategic plan for the next year is how to strengthen the cooperation with these very important international organizations to be more competitive and to reduce the cost of the production of this new business, of these new goods and services. Next one, please. As you know, the World Free Zone Organization, as Dr. Sami said we have more than 1,500 members, individual free zone, but at the same time, we are helping a lot the regional and the national association for free zones. For example, the ALFA, Latin American Free Trade Zone Association, the African Economic Zone Association, World Free Zone Organization was promoted. It was one of the promoters of this organization. And you can see a lot of national associations, like NAFTA in the United States. In September, we flew to the United States with Dr. Mohamed Al-Samir to the 50th anniversary, the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the National Association of Foreign Free Zones. And you can see a lot of different associations that one of our strategic plan is help to grow these national and regional associations, and how these national and regional associations can foster, can help the individual free zone in any country. But of course, here in the World Free Zone Organization, we will be more than happy to help the different countries, the different organizations, and the individual free zone in discover the new role in this changing international trade. Next, please. Well, this is the objective of our World Free Zone Organization for the future. Double the number of jobs of free zones for 80 to 150 million of people, of workers in the next decade. Turn each free zone in the world into the one-stop shop to make a facilitator to speed up the trade of the region and their country. Reduce the carbon footprint through the green free zone. Turn the free zone into the trade facilitators and auxiliary to the custom function. Ensure transparency and reliability in the user selections of is very important that the companies that are in the free zone, there are clean companies, there are honest companies who fulfill all the rule and regulation of the country. And the last one, create prosperity for the countries that the free zone are in. This is the powerful message that the World Free Zone Organization are very committed with your country, with your association of free zone, and with each of the free zones that are members of our organizations. Next one. Free zones are a counter-cyclical mechanism, and the world has never needed them as much as it does today.
Thank you so much, Martin. Impressive as usual. I have myself written a lot. I have a lot of questions, but most importantly than my own question, let me start sharing with you some of the question of the participant. I need to see that, okay. Let me say, we have our colleague Intisar Hussain is asking you, Martin, if do you have any example of a successful already existing agro-free zone?
Yes, many examples. In India, for example, there are a very important agro-free zone that concentrate the services and the production of packaging, repair of tractor, production of fertilizer for a place who has 1,000 hectares in agribusiness. There are many free zones in Costa Rica, agro-free zones, and in Dominican Republic. In the case of Colombia, we have more than 20 agro-free zones. For example, we have a new kind of free zone for avocados that the United States import a lot. In El Salvador, you have a lot of agro free zone for tomatoes. And we have in Colombia, maybe 10 agro-free zone for biofuel of sugarcane, especially. It's a lot of examples, and I think this is the future, because you have two options: to produce a good and to send to the destination country with a very high logistic cost. You have to do refrigeration of the goods and so on, so by plane. And the other is produce the food in the place with a very concentration of technology in agro-free zones.
Okay, so we move to some questions, Martin, coming from the MENA region. I have our colleague Mo Hafiz is saying that there is a lack of somehow data about the role of special economic zones in the MENA region. Within that lack of information, how do you measure the role of special economic zones in regional integration from a quantitative angle? What kind of data you need to quantify the role of SEZ in a regional integration?
Okay. As I told in my presentation, Samir, the change for global change to regional, the movements of global change to regional change need neutral spaces to the relocation of the machinery and the process. For that reason, the free zone are a key aspect in this new movement of reshoring, or power shoring, or friendshoring, like another said. If you see in the region, the regional integration percentage is very different. For example, in the European Union, it's more than 60%. In Asian countries, it's 45%. In Latin American countries, it's around 15% only. And for that reason, will be a very good idea to have a similar regulation for free zone in the MENA region to facilitate the integration of the free zone of the MENA region and to increase the regional value. Okay. For example, one recommendation is to accept the origin rule for free trade agreements to goods made in the free zone, or than use the free zone for logistic purposes. Some countries lose origin rule, and this is not sharp. This is not strategic. Maybe one work that the World Free Zone Organization can do is to make a benchmarking of the MENA countries' legislation in free zone and a proposal how to have only one common regulation and legislation in free zones.
We continue with the MENA region. Our colleague De Souza is asking, when are we planning to have free zone in Saudi Arabia. Just I will answer this, Martin, because you
Yes.
helped that exercise. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia implemented in 2019 the special economic zones regime, and as organization, we supported the kingdom in having the socio-economic study of what kind of incentives. We help it with the company registration and the arbitration center. So the answer to Lloyd de Souza, yes, we have special economic zones in Saudi Arabia. Still with the MENA region, a question from an anonymous asking how zones are contributing to the global trade and to the MENA region. Martin Ibarra just answered that to the MENA region, we have to do it in the same way that has been done in other regions. Globally, zones contribute to the third of global trade. I move to Latin America, and I have one question. Where is it? Because really we have several one. So our colleague Jorge Arturo Acevedo, on the top of sending you his regard and thanking you of, it is how free zones in Latin America and globally, how free zones should prepare themselves to these opportunities of nearshoring, knowing that they have a lack of good infrastructure. How to improve that?
Okay. Hello, Jorge. Very nice to hear about you. Okay, in Latin America, we are very integrated in free zone. We have the Latin American Free Trade Zone Association that is organization more than 25 years. It was created. In Latin America, we have 750 free zones in 25 countries. And they are preparing to nearshoring, and even Mexico has free zone. The name in Mexico are industrial park with IMEX. IMEX is the name of the free zone in Mexico. It's an import-export system, but there are industrial park with a special regime for international trade that really are the essence of the free zone. And if you, as Jorge knows, Mexico is the king of the nearshoring in Latin America. Now they are receiving big investment. For example, Tesla is set up a new factory in the north part in Nuevo León of $10 billion investment. And there are a Mexican-Chinese industrial park for international trade in the north part of Mexico with another $10 billion of investment in solar panels and so on. And there are more than 500 new projects in Mexico related for nearshoring in the last 5 years. But you have, at the same time, you can see nearshoring process in countries like Dominican Republic, like Costa Rica, like Colombia. There are looking countries near the United States with free trade agreements to move, because now they reduce the cost of the 25% of the world tax for China. As you know, Donald Trump, who want to be again President of the United States, they created 25% tax, technological tax to China. And for that reason, a lot of companies have to move to another countries looking free trade and distance. And the combination to reduce the cost of trade and to eliminate the cost of taxes, that was the fuel for the nearshoring.
Okay, we stay in Mexico, Martin, if you don't mind. We have a question from Mauricio Jaramillo asking what are the essential first step to set up free zones in country where the free zones are not yet established.
Okay, hello Mauricio. Very nice to hear about you. Well, the first advice is you have to discover what are the business that you want to promote around the free zone. What are the business that your country or your region are competitive in the future? Maybe one of the 10 I mentioned, but maybe another one. Will be agro, will be tourism, will be health. For example, in Dubai, you have Dubai Health Free Zone with more than 120 hospitals as free trade zone. There are training of pilots for airplanes. once you discover what other sector your country is going to be in the next years, you have to decide the zone, because depending on the sector you choose, you can decide the zone, and then you can compare your legislation. You have to make a benchmarking with your regional competition. The key aspect is discover your enemy. Know your enemy. I don't discover this idea. What the Greeks 2,000 years ago said that, know your enemy. The key aspect is you have to decide your free zone legislation better than your neighborhood, better than your competence, and then the promotion. Where are the links? Where are the companies you want to attract? Once you have the design of the park, the design of the approved legislation, the proper incentives, and of course the promotion activity, and will be a joint venture between the country, the free zone, and the region. Because one of the secrets of the free zone is the free zone have to be a very high national purpose of development. The president, the king, the prime minister of the country has to be have to have the free zone in his mind. Deng Xiaoping in China, the King Mohammed VI in Morocco, Balaguer president in Dominican Republic, they were started the free zone because they was in love with the free zone regime. Because now President Abinader in the Dominican Republic, they are speaking about free zone every day, every hour. If you don't, if the free zone are not a high political mechanism, would be very difficult to promote the mechanism.
Okay, Martin, we have floor for just 2 or 3 more questions. Before that, I give you the congratulations and the greetings of our good friend and colleague, Dragan Kostić from Serbia. We move now to a question that we received from Pakistan, and there is a need of more details about that, how to say it, this digital zones. Are they virtual zones without no boundaries, or are they physical zones where only digital businesses is dealt with?
Okay, the name zone means a delimitation of space. For that reason, the free zone, the special economic zone, are places delimited. In some countries with fences. In this case, the digital zone, there are a place with a special regime in international trade that you are going to place your 3D printing machinery. And to attract to that zone, not only the printing machinery, but all the clusters, all the industries that are going to need the printing goods as a raw material for the final products. For example, we saw with Samir, the 3D printing in Barcelona who make the sole of the shoes. But next you have the shoe factory, or then you have all the factories that need the printed raw material as element to make the goods. This is the concept of the D zone. We are working with Samir very hard in the creation of the concept, and maybe with the help of Hewlett Packard, we are going to promote many D zones around the world.
Okay, I have a question from several colleagues from Africa and from Mozambique and other countries. So the question is, how the cross-border zones can contribute to this new somehow framework of zones, and then how that can help in increasing the trade. What do you think, Martin?
Okay, the cross borders, the E-zone, there are the zone to promote the e-commerce. Then, as I told before, now it's the 25% of the international trade, but tomorrow will be the 35% of the international trade. And if you see the e-commerce, there are 7 categories of goods: garments, shoes, electrical appliance, toys, very, very simple elements. For example, countries from Africa, we can produce that element in the free zone and of course can export through plane to Europe. Europe is very near to Africa. Even if you are in Morocco, you can see Spain in the other part of the Mediterranean Sea. And for that reason, in the E-zone, you can make several activities: the production of goods, the transformation of container in parcel or in package, in the case of importation, or to place there the data centers, because a package need a lot of information. The e-commerce need a lot of information, or maybe the call centers of the people who are saying where are you packaging and where are you going to receive your e-commerce importation, and so on and so on. For that reason, I don't know if in Africa there are some e-zones, but I think Africa countries have a lot of opportunities in cross-border e-zones.
Okay. Thank you so much, Martin. I need to say I'm so sorry to our colleague. I need to say sorry to Amelia, to Farouk, to Carolina, to Abaso, to Naif, to Anna Palacios, to Hassan, to Mauricio, to Ambrose, to Noor, to Enrique, to Paul, to Rick Autor. I'm so sorry, we ran over of time. I commit with all of you that all your question will be shared with Dr. Martin Ibarra, and my commitment with you also that all the participants registered in this webinar will receive a copy of Dr. Martin Ibarra presentation. And as soon as we have edited this video, we will put it at your availability, all of you, in order to see it again if you are interested. Just to summarize this webinar and what Martin said, free zones are there, and free zones are there for long time. I think when we speak about economy and we speak about trade, history point of view, we need to speak about zones. And this is what Martin Ibarra told us. We have seen that all these bracket complication, geopolitical one, the wars, all this, the wars, the bellic one and the commercial one has impacted directly on the global trade, increasing the cost of freight, changing the main partnership between countries and region, even changing the most, let's say, traded products. Now medical, foods, services, parcel are somehow the main exported and imported product. We move it from a global value chain to the rise of a regional value chain. And also we have seen a major role played by the e-commerce. On the top of it, trade, as all the other aspects of our economy, should be sustainable and should be friendly. Martin shared with us somehow 10 new next businesses that zones should focus on: hydrogen, electrical car, data center, digital, economic, shared service, agrozone, e-commerce, smart zone. So these are all the new opportunities for the zones to play a major role in this new value chains, regional or global, knowing that they have, by any case, to improve their competitiveness for the already existing zone and to improve their infrastructure. Martin put us a target for the next years, which is somehow doubling the employment, improving our role in easy doing business. As we said, always the best place to do business in every country should be the zones. We need to reduce our footprints and we need to improve our relationship with the customs. And repeatedly, Martin said a word that since the day one we launched this organization, we said this is the role of the zones. Let me just conclude saying since 2015, the World Vision Organization launched a program called the Free Zone of the Future. And that Free Zone of the Future is to upgrade and improve the role of zones, not just for the economic development, but also for the prosperity of the country. Finally, we have been able to launch in 2023, last year, an index called the Prosperity Index. And this Prosperity Index will be a key element to help zones to contribute not only to the economic development to the countries, but also to the prosperity of the countries. Zones base their attractiveness in a certain incentives and certain taxation regime. These are privileges, and the return of the privileges should go to the zones, should go to the companies, should go to the Free Zone Authority, but also should go back to the society. Thank you all for being part of this webinar. I ask Melissa Ango, who raised several times her hand, to share with me her question. I repeat, all of you, you will receive a copy of this presentation, and we will share with you very soon the video and the recording of this webinar. Proud to say that this first webinar attracted more than 500 registries, which is really a good number as a start. I need to finalize this webinar expressing all my gratitude to Dr. Mohammed for his opening remark, and a special gratitude. Thank you so much. Shukran jazilan Martini Barra, and thank you all for being part of this first webinar. Thank you and see you soon.